This is our final coffee meeting for the year. We usually run them every fortnight on a Monday morning, and this is the final one since we're only about 3 weeks out from Christmas now. So we'll resume again, I believe, on Monday the 9th of January. So we're pretty much taking a 5-week break, back up on the 9th, and it'll be fortnightly again after that. So just back to the normal routine. But today we've invited Nicole along to our presentation, and my intention today is to do an interview with Nicole. So that's where we're starting. Now Nicole's only about 5 or 6 weeks out from delivering, as you can see. So she's just driven across the bridge. She's come from Bribie Island to be here this morning, and of course when she hit Wynnum, there were no parks. So she's had to do a little bit of a rove around the blocks, as some of the rest of you have had to do, just to get parked and be here.
And then I had to go to the bathroom.
And then she has to go to the bathroom, of course, which is way out and around the back.
Whoa.
So we've got action on all levels, haven't we? Okay. So let me just start. Some of you in the room know me. I'm Jeanette McDonald. Some of you don't, but for those who don't, that's my introduction. And Jen Cooper. And we are partnering in this business of ASEA, but we're also partnering in sharing the amazing molecules with everybody. So we established these coffee meetings, Jen and I, about 4 or 5 months ago now. But we've really been here at Frenchie's since October, actually. We were at Ray Organics before that. So we've done a rove around to find our home base. So here we are, and Nicole's here, and this is where I'd like to start with just a little introduction about Nicole. We only met Nicole back in March, of course, and since that meeting 6 months ago, we've had a lot to do with Nicole and her husband Justin, and they're often referred to as the dynamic duo. So the other half of the dynamic duo, well, he's at home. I imagine he's on phone calls.
Yes, that's right.
So he's probably set up on that while she's out and about today. So they're a passionate couple who have been interested in creating optimal health for other people. So they've had this passion because they both had very serious health challenges themselves. So they were on a search to find a pathway forward. That's how it all began. And they both love sharing. They both love the opportunity to empower other people. So what started out as some solutions for their own health conditions has ended up being a business as well. So their mission is to spread the power of the redox signaling molecules. And they want to share that across this country, certainly, and maybe further by blessing people and certainly by transforming people's lives. Now I'll just give you just a tiny little bit of background just so that we don't have to run over this in the interview. Nicole and Justin first heard about the molecules back in 2011, and they were intrigued by their potential healing power. So they travelled to the US in 2012 to meet the founders of the ASEA company. And that's when they discovered a little bit more, not only about the products, but certainly the people behind the products. That acted to cement their belief, first of all, in the products and their conviction in the company right from the very beginning. So they began with a little bit of education, a lot of preparation to launch these extraordinary products into Australia. And they're proud to have been the guest speakers on the opening teleconference call for the official launch in August 2014. So these products really have only been in this country just a little over 2 years now. So Nicole and Justin are at the forefront of the Australian, New Zealand and Asian market, and right now there's an incredible team of people just sharing the amazing redox molecules with people. So that's just really the starting point to let you know a little bit about Nicole today. So Nicole and I are going to have an interview. I suspect it's about a 20-minute interview. I've got some questions that she doesn't know about yet. So this is not prepped. This is all pretty natural, and I think Sasha's going to do an interview video, I suspect.
Fantastic.
So that's how it's going. Now, can everybody see? I'm just putting myself on a bit of an angle. And can everyone see in the room all close enough anyhow? So Nicole, just in that little bit of a run-up there, that was a bit of a run-up to where you're up to and how you got into the molecules in the first place. So just tell everyone just a little bit about what your health challenges were and what Justin's were. Like, why were both of you on this quest in the first place?
So I had fatigue issues for 25 years since I was 13 years old, and you know, I had a lot of health challenges before that when I was younger as well. But I definitely remember these kind of like starting 6 weeks off school and continued on, and it was just, you know, I would always have these periods where I would crash since I was 13. And then they kind of continued to get worse from about the age of 19. And by the age of 22, I had really bad fatigue issues. And so I just I went to, you know, through the medical merry-go-rounds and tried to get diagnosed what was going on, because I'm like, it's not normal for someone my age to be tired like this all the time. And they just told me to go home and go to bed. And I was like, well, that doesn't really seem very effective. I've just finished university. I've just got, you know, my first job. Like, I had a professional career in projects management. So I didn't really think that was very acceptable. So I started to like look for natural solutions, and I did a lot of naturopathy and a lot of acupuncture and things like that. So I was very lucky. I had a very well-paying job, so I was able to spend about $1,000 a month on my healthcare from that age. So I used to have like acupuncture twice a week for about a year to get myself kind of like a bit stabilised. And I had acupuncture every fortnight until I was 35 years old when I discovered ASEA. So I had it every fortnight, and that was what like I had to do to kind of manage myself, and also to take a lot of superfoods and a lot of herbs and things like that. And then someone told me about ASEA, and I got some, and I started to take it, and in 3 weeks my fatigue completely resolved. Like, I just didn't have it anymore. So that was what really got my husband and I interested in ASEA.
And just tell us quickly about Justin's issues as well.
So my husband Justin always had like a lot of health challenges, and he didn't really know what they were from. Like, he had pain, and he'd have recurring bouts of tiredness. And a few years ago, you know, he got really bad. He had a lot of stress in his life with another business that we had at the time, and he really crashed. And he got diagnosed with a multi-systemic bacterial infection caused by a tick bite, and he'd had that for 19 years. And his body was extremely, extremely damaged from that infection. He had some other things wrong with him, autoimmune condition as well. And so we got him some treatment, and we used the redox molecules as part of that, and he fully recovered in 5 months. And if anyone knows anyone with that particular condition, that's pretty much unheard of for that to happen. So particularly when it's been so chronic for such a long time. So that was really our own personal stories. Then we saw a lot of things with other people that we know as well.
So in that early part, when you first started, before you even did anything else, when you just started taking the, was it the liquid first, or was it the Renew 28?
No, it was
the liquid in the early stage.
It was the liquid that we started using, because there actually was no Renew 28 back then. So Renew 28 is a new product. It was launched in 2014, and that was what allowed ASEA to be able to come into the Australian market, was to launch that product out here, because we have some regulatory issues that other countries in the world don't need to deal with in Australia. And so there was only the liquid back then. So that was liquid, and we were just taking like 60 mils twice a day. So we probably would have had Justin on a lot more if we'd known more.
So that was really the very start of the journey for you. But what prompted you then to go further? What other things did you see happening? Obviously, if you guys started on it, then there must have been other people seeing both of you improving. So then suddenly you would have had a few more people saying, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, so we had like a couple of really close friends of ours at the time, and one of them, he had genetic hypertension issues that he'd had since his late teenage years, and they couldn't be managed through medication. Like, sometimes he'd have to be put into hospital to be monitored, because they would fear that he was going to stroke out because he had blood pressure like 240 over 195. And they couldn't actually increase his medication anymore, and it was just a genetic thing. Like he tried all the natural things, and nothing really worked for him. And so we saw his situation normalise when he started drinking these molecules. So we're like, that's pretty amazing, because we knew he'd done a lot of things, and his partner at the time was a very good herbalist, and it couldn't even be managed with medication, which is a very serious and scary situation. And then we had another friend, and she's a really great friend of ours, still really good friends with her. And we actually met her when my husband had a health food store, and she had 55 general anaesthetics, mostly from extreme sporting injuries. So she was in she had like a lot of discomfort issues, like extreme, like her knee was on an angle like this, and she had her foot torn off, and she had a broken neck, and but she still water skied with us and things like this. So yeah, and so we were like, maybe you should try this stuff, because she would try anything new that was in the shop, and to try and manage these problems. She had to take a lot of medication which she didn't like because of these issues. And so we saw her get off all of her meds, and for her situation to really improve. She had a huge amount of swelling around her foot where she torn it off and had it reattached. And all of that swelling also went out of her foot. And she was actually the one, she had been involved in this type of industry before with another company, and she was the one who actually said to my husband and I that we should actually have a look at this business. She was the one who was like, you should. So, everything happens for a reason. But then we had to wait several years for the business because it wasn't open in Australia.
So tell me about, so that was what happened with a number of health challenges for yourself, for Justin and some friends.
Yeah.
But what prompted you then to get on a plane and go to Salt Lake City?
Well, our friend that had all the injuries, she was like, we should all go over and find out about this.
Okay.
And so we actually went to Orlando. We went to an ASEA conference that was on in 2012 in Orlando. We went over there and went to Disney World, had a holiday as well, and she's like, you should go over there and check this out. Like we should go and kind of have a look at it. And because she understood about the business opportunity and things like that because she'd done it before.
Yes. Yeah.
And so we went over and we took their teenage son. He was a teenager at the time. He's grown up now. And so we went over and we just kind of met all these people, and people were just coming up to us and telling us these crazy stories. Like, we're lying by the pool and they give you like a bag when you're at the conference. So people are like, are you here for a seat? And they come out and they tell you like this crazy stuff that had happened to them, and we're just like, is this like serious? Like it was, so that was a really amazing experience. And we got to meet Trish Schwenkler. That's where we met her for the first time, and we spent some time with her and got to meet Virtus and the founders and things like that. So that's kind of what got us interested. But they're like, you have to go home and you have to promise not to tell anyone. So we had to we were allowed to come home and we were allowed to use the product for ourselves, but we weren't allowed to tell about it because it wasn't available in Australia.
Okay.
So that was an interesting journey.
so it's interesting to hear this journey from Nicole, or how things started out, because you can see that it's just really early days with these redox signaling molecules. Now, Nicole, just another question while I'm just thinking about Salt Lake City. When you're over there and you had that experience and you're hearing these stories that are almost unbelievable true, that crazy and unbelievable.
Yeah.
What do you start thinking to yourself then? Like, this sounds too good to be true, I suppose, when you hear some of those stories.
It was just like when you were hearing this, and you knew, like, people were like just gentle, because they would be telling their stories and they would be crying, and it's like it's a miracle for these kinds of things to happen. Like, you just don't, because I'd worked in the corporate world, but my husband has worked in health and wellbeing for his whole career. He's been a paramedic, he's owned a health food store, he's managed some of the most cutting-edge integrated medical clinics in Brisbane, that use pretty out there, innovative medicine, that most people would think is pretty wacky, but it actually works. And we'd never seen anything like this, and he was really amazed, and for him to be amazed, I knew it was really powerful, because he knows what works, and he saw a lot of amazing things happen when he had his health food store, and he was able to really help a lot of people with that, with the things that he had available, but he's like, I could never help them in this way. So it was really eye-opening to be able to see all of that and hear people's stories, that's for sure.
So how do you explain these redox signaling molecules to people? Because people go, there's this stuff in a bottle, when will I get well? Like expecting a miracle in 3 weeks or something, because you had major changes with your issue, but for some people it may take 18 months.
Yeah.
But how do you explain to people, not just about expectations, but What do redox signaling molecules actually do? What are they?
Well, it's just like they're the foundation to how our cells talk to each other and to what makes our cells healthy, really. And you know, I always say to people when I'm talking to them, yeah, I had this result in a very short amount of time, but for a lot of people that doesn't happen. And I've done 10 years of continuous detox, like pretty much like I've been on a detox for probably 60 to 70% of the time for 10 years continuously, because otherwise I would. So I had done a lot of work, which was why my result was so fast. You know, so if people are willing to, you know, have good nutrition and do all of these things, that it's likely that they will get a much more, that their results will be condensed into a shorter amount of time. You know, if they work on like their emotions and all of those things, then if they're just going to continue to live the way that they are and just add the molecules, although people still get results with that as well. So yeah, I didn't understand anything about how they worked when I started taking them. Someone just told me to take them, and I was like, sure, I'll take them, and I just started to drink them. Like I had no idea what they were. I didn't even know like that there was molecules in the thing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna drink this stuff.
Because you were at a stage where you were willing to give anything a go, weren't you, at that point?
Yeah.
And tell me, what sort of things did you notice for yourself first off?
So
like what were the things that you go, hey, this is working? Because I know you'd been on vitamins and stuff for a long time. You didn't notice much different with any of that.
I mean, I definitely had improvements, like, you know, so I was able to function, but I had to stay on this like crazy regime of things, and you know, I had to have acupuncture once a fortnight. If I missed a session, it was like not good. So what I noticed is that I guess for me, because I'd had the fatigue issues from such a young age, I didn't really know what it was like to not feel like that. Like I didn't have a point of reference that I could lucidly remember not feeling like that. So, you know, after I'd been taking them for a few weeks, I just woke up and I was like, is this what it feels like to not feel tired? Okay. And so I didn't, like, that was a new experience for me. Yeah. So I was like, wow, that's really amazing. And then I noticed very quickly, I had to take so much. I used to take about $500 to $600 worth of superfoods and herbs and things from my husband's health store, so wholesale. So I was very quickly able to reduce that. So, you know, I used to have, you know, you'd have like the ASEA powder. I would have 1 teaspoon, I'd have like 6 teaspoons in a glass in the morning. Otherwise I would be so dysfunctional. I'd have to just take this really, really heavy amount of nutrients to be able, because I just don't think I was absorbing my food and all that kind of thing to be able to function. So yeah, I just woke up and I was like, wow, I didn't even know that you could feel like that.
Okay, so it's almost like you felt like, hey, is this what normal feels like?
This is what normal feels like.
Healthy or well feels like.
Yes, it's what it feels like to not feel tired all the time. And then I just stopped going to acupuncture. I just didn't need to go anymore. Which was really
so
good.
Since you've introduced brought this into the country in 2014, tell me how, I mean, it's fairly new, so in your estimation, how many people do you think in Australia would be probably taking the product now? Any clues on that?
There's probably like not even 10,000 people that would be using the products in Australia.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very, very tiny.
Yeah. So
you're on the cutting edge.
Cutting edge. So tell me, then, you know, you started off looking at it from a health challenge point of view. You ended up involving a few other people, seeing their health challenges resolved, and then your friend encouraged you to maybe look at this as a business start. Yeah. Then you did your due diligence. You went to the States, you got involved with the founders, you got that really good feeling that this is, you know, this is a solid company, these redox signaling molecules are real.
Yeah. Totally.
And so you got all that, you got a big hit of that. So what did you start to learn about yourself then? As you moved through the journey, what did you start to find out about yourself as you became involved with the redox signaling molecules?
Yeah, I guess I'd always been, you know, like I've had my own business since I was 27 years old. So I've always like been entrepreneurial and always been looking for something to do. But my previous business had like kind of a lot of restrictions on it, and I was a little bit sick of some aspects of that. And So I was looking for something else that I could do that would be fulfilling, like where it would help people and help humanity and, you know, make a contribution. Like that's what I was really looking for. And when I had this experience with ASEA's products, and then I met, you know, the founders and had an opportunity to get to know some of like the people in the company, I was like, I think this is something where I could do that and also create a lifestyle that I wanted to create. You know, I used to have to travel into Brisbane a lot to see clients and travel different places to see clients and things like that. And I live on Bribie Island. I like living where it's quiet. I like to be there. I don't really like to leave that much. So to me, to be able to create something where I can have that lifestyle was really important for me personally, and then but that it's also really something that helps people as well was what really got me interested in it, like seeing those results. And I also had no idea that you could earn the kind of income that you can earn in this kind of industry, in like word of mouth marketing. Like I just thought it was for like people who wanted to earn an extra like a few $100s a month, which I would not have been interested in, coming from my previous career, which was very well paid. So I had no idea that you could earn like actually more than what I earned in my previous career. So, you know, it had to have all of those things for me.
Had to tick all the boxes.
Like, you know, like I am a businesswoman. I've been in business for a long time. You know, so so I had to tick everything. Had to be able to, you know, help people and pay well as well.
So tell me then, what have you learned about people? Because this is a people business. This is a relationship building business because of the way it operates, huh?
Yeah,
so
totally.
What have you learned about people?
So I think the most important thing for anyone doing this is like you have to like, you know, put the people first. Like you have to like meet people where they're at. And some people, they just, you know, they need the products and they've got really big health challenges, and you have to help them with that. And then you always have a conversation and, you know, check in with people. Like I met these two lovely ladies and they were like, well, we wanted to do, you know, they wanted to share it with people and came and did an event for them, and then they've decided to create it as a business. So you help people that want to do that, and if people just want to use the products, you help them with that as well. It's like you're never pressuring people or anything like that. You have to really listen to what people want, and that can definitely change over time and over how long people have been involved, but you have to just listen to what they want and help them with their own goals, and then, you know, that will all just come back to you for sure. So you just have to be really listening to people really well all the time, to stop and listen and ask them questions and find out what they need help with, like what they're suffering with.
So what I think is that, you know, Redox, since I started on the journey, I didn't even, as I said in a video I uploaded to Facebook, I didn't have a clue what redox signaling molecules were to begin with, as do many people.
And then you burnt yourself to see what
Then I had a very big burn story where I was able to use it as first aid to get proof of healing.
Yeah.
But
you don't have to do that.
you don't have to do that. So
Some people do tend to do that.
So knowing that the redox signaling molecule products, the Renew 28 gel and the ASEA liquid, are useful for people with acute or long-term challenges. They're useful for first aid situations.
Yep.
It's useful on your body in anywhere you like for discomfort. It's useful for scarring as well. It's useful on the face to improve elasticity. So it's got multi-purposes, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Because often products are just used for one thing, aren't they?
Yeah, so that's the unique thing about this is, you know, because my husband did have a health food store and a lot of different products, and there's this product for like a stretch mark, or this product for wrinkles, and then, you know, there's this product for your energy, whereas this one, because it's working on the cells, it works on it works on all of those things. So there's not really, like, I've never seen anything like that before, particularly something that applies topically, and you can see like other shifts. Like I've never ever seen a product that you apply topically that you get like a boost in energy or.
So then, you know, the question is, it will help anybody, won't it? If you have cells, it'll help.
That's right. And it will help anything else that you're doing as well. Like, so if you do have health challenges and you're not under the care of a health practitioner and they've got you on some herbs, nutritional things that will actually make all of that work better. So that's the amazing thing about it. So it's like those things are still great, but it will actually make them more effective.
Because my understanding is once you've got the signalling going right in your cells, once the signals are right, the signals start communicating what to do with some of the things you're putting in and taking it to the right areas. And also I have the understanding that then it tells your cells, hey, it's time to repair it. It's time to do some repair over there. It's time to kill those cells over there. It's time to, so that the cells actually start functioning better.
Yeah, that's totally true. So, like, my husband has a really good analogy, which he probably says better than me. And it's like your DNA is like, so if you think of it like a building site, like your DNA is like the plans for the building site. So, our DNA doesn't change that much, but we can have problems where we're exposed to things where it's, genes are being switched on and off in a way that's not good. So then that can cause health challenges. And the redox is like the foreman, and it's like giving all of the directions, so it's like you go here, you go there, you go this there. And then nutrition is still important. So like what we're eating and, if we're taking nutrition is like, it's like the building blocks. The body still needs the raw materials. But yeah, the redox is like how, make sure that they all get put in the right place. And that, that the DNA is being read correctly. Because without enough redox, then we can have, if you've heard of pregnancy brain, can't remember it, like the stuff that Bruce Lipton talks about all the time.
Neuroplasticity.
Yeah, like the genes. Epigenetics, that's right, see, we're pregnancy brain. Epigenetics, like, so that's what, the redox keeps all of that, so it's all working together and you don't have like these misreads and things like that.
Fantastic. So just in coming to the close of this interview, I don't know how long we've been going, but probably long enough for an interview. Are you okay?
I'm totally fine.
Oh, good. So what do you think is the future of redox signaling molecule technology? Like,
I think it's like not many people have heard of it at this stage. Like you ask someone if they know what redox signaling is, and they're like, most people they say they don't know what it is, right? They've never heard of it. Like sometimes occasionally you'll talk to like a doctor or something and they're like, oh yeah, I learned that in medical school or something like that. Not older doctors, like kind of ones that are like under 30, they've kind of heard of it like because they didn't study it previously.
Yeah, because it's just being introduced into study, isn't it, for doctors, into their courses.
That's right. So I think we'll see in 15 or 20 years that people will know what it is, like they know what antioxidants are now. Like so we all know how important antioxidants are. And there's been like a lot of things around about antioxidants, and there was a lot of antioxidant products which don't work if we don't have enough redox signaling. We can't activate antioxidant products we supplement with. So I think, in probably 15 or 20 years time, everyone will know what redox signaling is. And so it's very new at the moment. It's like it's like the early adopters, people that are open to new things, and most people haven't heard of it. Like people are like, oh, I need to ask my doctor. It's like your doctor will have no idea. Like they will not have heard of it. Like pretty much guaranteed. Like they won't have heard of it. Like they just unless they recently graduated from medical school, they won't have even studied. They wouldn't have even learnt about redox molecules at all. So yeah.
So we do have some health professionals, don't we? And some health practitioners who have come on board.
Yes.
And what do you think has been the turning point for those people? Because I mean, it's really challenging if you're a health practitioner or a health professional because you can't prescribe or tell people what to do, because this is not a drug, it's safe. It's actually bioidentical to what's inside your body, so it's not even natural, it's actually native. So it can't be classified, can it? So these health professionals who've jumped on board, and there are plenty of integrative doctors, my cousin the optometrist has jumped on board, dentists have jumped on, lots of people are jumping on board in that field. Not enough, but it's early stages. What do you think is the light bulb for those people who are seeing people who are unwell all the time?
I mean, I think that the health professionals that are jumping on board are they're very cutting edge health professionals in their own right. Like they don't do things like most doctors that you go out to a clinic do. Like they're always looking for innovation. Like they're way ahead of their time anyway, so they're open to new things. They're like open to like checking out new things, and they've all just got it. They've tried it on themselves, on their families, on a few patients, and they've seen the results. They've like seen different results to what they saw in their clinics before. And I mean, some of these people have very like super cutting edge clinics that we work with. Like they have, you know, a lot of cutting edge technology out of Europe and places like this that, you know, you just do not see in most medical clinics. And so they see these results, and then they know where to go and do their research. Like they know how to read all the stuff on PubMed. So they go and do their own research. They understand it, how it works, and then they're just like, they're on board with it because they see the results for their patients. And you know, these kinds of health professionals that are attracted to it, they want to empower their patients. They don't want to have to have their patients coming back to see them more and more times. They actually want to get their patients out of their clinics, you know, like they all have waiting lists, they're all really busy people, so this is like something they can empower their patients with to take home to get amazing results, and that, you know, so that they actually need less care from their health professional. And that's the kind of people that are, you know, the early adopters of it, I think.
So it's helping people to become more empowered with choices around their own health, isn't it?
And that's what, you know, you've seen our health professionals, a lot of them talk, and they all say that we can give this to our patients and we can send them home and they can put it on and they can be in control of managing their discomfort or managing their issue, and they don't need to come back and like see me all the time, like to be able to get me to treat them with that. Like obviously they're still like under their, if they've got a serious challenge, they're still getting some regular care, but they're not having to be in there constantly. So there's something they can take away and take home.
Fantastic. So I think that's where I'd like to close off my segment of questions, because I've asked you quite a few questions, both the business, the early start, what you're seeing with people, and I think what I have seen probably myself in the last 6 months is, you know, not only are you a believer, but you're